Lieutenant Commander Ala Rees stood on the edge of the landing pad at Outpost Juno. The wind was dry and carried the dust of the rocky world beneath her boots. The base behind her was small, with only a few buildings and an old, half-working dome for communication. She had worked hard for 3 years to keep this place running, even when the main command forgot it existed. Now, they were sending her a problem. The shuttle from Earth arrived with a low hum. It landed slowly, its back door hissing open. A soldier stepped out first and saluted Allah. Behind him, a young man dragged a single duffel bag, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. "That's him," the soldier said. "Cadet Darren Holt, your new assignment." Allah blinked. "There must be a mistake." "I didn't ask for a cadet." "No mistake, ma'am. Direct orders. He's yours now." With that, the soldier returned to the shuttle. It lifted off before she could argue. Allah turned to the cadet. He was tall, with messy brown hair, a loose uniform, and a relaxed look on his face, as if he was on vacation, not posted to the edge of known space. "You're Holt?" she asked. "Yeah," he replied with a small smile. "That's me." "Late?" "I was early. The shuttle was late." Allah sighed. This wasn't a good start. Inside the main dome, Allah gave him a quick tour. The base had 15 people, engineers, scientists, and security staff. All of them worked hard and respected. Order. She knew they wouldn't take kindly to someone like Holt. He had a record. Everyone in command had heard the stories too lazy, too clever for his own good. Always questioning orders, failing physical drills. He had nearly been kicked out of the academy. Instead, they sent him here, far away from anything important. After the tour, Ayla brought him to a small room, his new quarters. "You'll report to me every morning at 0600, she said. "You'll follow every order, complete every task, and stay out of the way. Understood?" Holt dropped his bag on the bed and gave her a lazy salute. "Yes, ma'am," loud and clear. Over the next week, Allah gave Holt the simple tasks: cleaning, organizing storage, checking perimeter sensors. Tasks he couldn't mess up, but even those he did ... differently. One morning, she found the storage room rearranged in a strange pattern. All the items were stacked perfectly by weight and frequency of use. It looked odd, but it worked. Another time, instead of manually checking the perimeter, Holt reprogrammed a maintenance drone to do the job 3 times faster. She didn't tell him, but she was impressed. Still, the others weren't. Chief Engineer Duno, gruff older man, said Holt was a walking accident. The security lead, Petty Officer Yara, joked that Holt must have cheated his way through the academy. Only Ayla saw the hidden layer, the way he paid attention to things others missed. How he questioned the rules not to break them, but to understand. Then, one evening, Allah found Holt sitting near the Cums Tower, staring at the stars. A small device sat in his lap, covered in wires. "What are you doing?" she asked. "Listening," he said. "To what? The noise?" Just stepped closer. The device gave off soft, static, and odd beeping sounds. "This world has something strange in the background signals," Holt explained. "It's not natural. It repeats, like a broken pattern. You built that from spare parts." "Yeah, there's enough old tech lying around. Figured I'd do something useful." Allah listened for a moment. The pattern was there, faint but steady. Didn't sound like random noise. "Could be solar interference," she said, unsure. "Or something else," Holt replied. "Want to help me find out?" The next day, Allah gave Holt permission to set up a small lab in an unused storage room. She knew she was bending the rules, but something told her this was worth it. Holt worked for hours, pulling wires, scanning the rocky ground with sensors and linking old CUM systems. One evening, he rushed into her office, holding a tablet. "I found something," he said, eyes wide. "What is it?" "There's an old signal buried under the base, deep underground. It's not just random noise. It's a code." "A code?" "Yeah, and it's not human." Ayla stared at him. "Are you sure?" He nodded. "Pretty sure. I've matched the repeating structure to known alien patterns. It's weak, probably ancient, but it's there." Ayla followed him to the lab. On the screen was a strange wave pattern repeating in a loop. Holt had translated part of it into simple binary. pattern didn't make sense yet, but it was. Too clean to be natural. This could be Aurelian tech, she whispered. The Aurelians were an extinct alien race known only from scattered ruins. If it is, Holt said, then there might be more buried under this base. A lot more. Alla sat back, thinking. If Holt was right, then Outpost Juno wasn't just some forgotten base. It was sitting on top of a major discovery. And the cadet everyone thought was a failure. He was the one who found it. She looked at him, seeing him differently now, not as a problem, not as a punishment, but maybe something rare. You'll keep working on this, she said, but quietly, no one else knows yet. Holt smiled. Yes, ma'am. As he walked away, Alla leaned back in her chair. Maybe this transfer wasn't a mistake. Maybe it was the start of something much bigger. Cadet Darren Holt sat on the cold floor of his small lab, surrounded by wires, screens, and blinking lights. His hands moved fast as he connected a cable to an old power core. Across from him, a strange signal danced on a cracked display screen. It flashed in short and long pulses, repeating again and again. Lieutenant Commander Ayla Ree stood in the doorway watching. She had expected chaos, but Holt's work was neat in its own strange way. Old tech, broken parts, and junk from the supply room had become a working signal station. This signal, Holt said without looking up, it's not just a code, it's talking. Ayla stepped closer. You mean like a message? But not in words we know. It's using a logic-based language, something like math and rhythm mixed together. It keeps adjusting, like it's waiting for someone to answer. Did you try responding? Holt looked up, a spark in his eyes. I did. Ayla's eyebrows lifted, and the screen blinked once. Then again. Then a new pattern appeared. Faster, sharper, more complex. It replied, Holt said, smiling wide. Over the next few days, Ayla gave Holt full access to the base's deep scanners. Normally, a cadet would never get that kind of trust. But Holt had proven he wasn't. Like other cadets, he thought differently. And Alla had started to believe that might be a good thing. With the scanners, Holt searched deep under the ground. The base sat on a rocky plateau, and under that were thick layers of metal and stone. But beneath it all, nearly 600 meters. Down was something else. Alla, you need to see this, Holt said. Calling her into the lab, the scanner showed a huge shape underground. Not a cave, not a rock, something built. What is that? Alla asked. A structure. Maybe a ship, maybe a station. Leah felt her heart beat faster. Are you sure? Almost. The design, the materials, even the way the signal moves, it all matches known Aurelian tech. I think it's been buried here for thousands of years. Alla stared at the screen. She had been at this base for years. No one had ever found this. And now the worst cadet in the fleet had discovered a possible alien vault. Can we dig to it? She asked. We'd need permission from Central Command, Holt replied, shrugging. But they'll never approve it unless we show them proof. Then we give them proof. The next morning, Alla called a meeting in the command dome. She showed the senior staff the scan. Holt stood silently beside her, arms crossed. While the others whispered and frowned, this could be a big discovery, she said. We need to investigate it. Chief Engineer Duno leaned forward. With respect, ma'am, this all came from a cadet's project. We can't base a mission on that. He's not just a cadet, Ayla said firmly. He found a live signal. He made contact, and he did it with scrap tech. The others still looked unsure. Only Yara, the security chief, gave a small nod. We can't drill without approval, Duno added. We need excavation gear, drills, suits, I'll request what we need, Ayla said. In the meantime, we continue scanning. Quietly. That night, Holt stayed up late in the lab, kept sending replies to the signal. Each time it responded faster. The messages became more complex. Lines, shapes, and sound patterns that danced like music. Then, suddenly the screen glowed white. What the Holt sat up. On the screen, lines formed. Circles, symbols, and strange glowing letters. Then, a voice, soft and smooth, spoke in perfect English. Connection complete. Command interface active? Welcome, Operator Holt. Holt blinked. What? How do you know my name? Biological pattern match confirmed. Neurologic frequency accepted. You are now the acting interface commander. Isla, who had just walked into the room with the data pad, stopped mid-step. Did that just call you commander? I think it did, Holt said slowly. I didn't tell it my name. The voice continued. Language database adapted. You wish to begin information exchange? Yes, Holt said carefully. The screen changed again. Data and blueprints appeared. Glowing files floated across the screen, showing alien designs, energy sources, and planetary records. This is real, Ella whispered. It's giving me full access, Holt said. Like I'm its captain, but why you? She asked. Why not me, or someone from command? I don't know, he said, maybe. Because I talk to it like a person, not a machine. The next day, Alice sent a secure message to Central Command. She explained the discovery, the signal, and Holt's role. She didn't mention that the AI had chosen him as commander. Not yet, Command replied quickly. They were interested but cautious. They ordered Ala to hold position and wait for a science team to arrive in 2 weeks. Ayla wasn't happy. They're going to try to take this from us, Holt said. But maybe we can learn more before they show up. So they worked. Day and night they explored the AI systems. It called itself the Archivist, and it claimed to be part of the Aurelian Galactic Preservation Network. Its job was to protect knowledge, help peaceful races grow, and record history. It had slept for thousands of years. It's waiting for a new species, smart enough or strange enough to connect with it. Why me? Holt asked the AI one night. Your cognitive patterns are not like others, it said. You question, explore, and adapt. See, without instruction, that is the mark of leadership. Holt laughed. I've failed almost every leadership test I've ever taken, and the tests are wrong. Soon, the base began to change. Using instructions from the archivist Ala and Holt, reprogrammed broken systems, repaired old generators, and even built a small energy shield to protect the lab. Holt's ideas, once seen as foolish, now powered the base. The crew noticed. Duno grumbled less. Yara started checking in more often. Even the others began calling Holt by name with respect, but trouble was coming. One evening, a new message came from command. A larger team was being sent, not just scientists, but officers and security. They're sending a takeover team, Ayla said, reading the report. They want to remove us and take full control of the AI. Holt leaned back. Figures. I finally do something useful, and they want to erase me. We won't let that happen, Ala said. Holt blinked. You mean, you're with me? You're not just a cadet anymore, Ayla said. You're part of this, and I protect my crew. He smiled. For the first time in years, someone believed in him. Ayla turned to the screen. Goffist. Can you defend this base? The voice replied. Yes. But it must be under the command of someone the system trusts. Ala looked at Holt. Well, Commander Holt, looks like we're not done yet. The sky above Outpost Juno was a pale purple when the warning alarm buzzed across the base. Lieutenant Commander Ayla Ree jumped out of bed, grabbed her jacket, and ran to the command dome. Cadet Darren Holt was already there, staring at the screen. His hair was a mess, and a half-eaten protein bar sat next to the console. They're here, Holt said quietly. On the screen, a large ship hovered above the atmosphere. It had no weapons drawn, but its ID code was clear. Terran Command Cruiser Valiant. Ship sent only when something important was happening or about to be taken over. Ayla stood beside him, watching the ship settle in orbit. That's not just a science team, she said. That's a command vessel. They're here to replace us. Holt's voice wasn't angry. It was calm, focused. Different from the lazy cadet who arrived weeks ago. Ala noticed the change. The others had started noticing it too. She tapped her cum device.
Ow!
All officers meet in the main dome. Now, 15 minutes later, the small team stood in a circle. Layla. Holt, Chief Duno, Security Officer Yara, and several techs. Tension filled the room. Command has arrived, Allah announced. They'll likely take control of the AI system and move Holt to the background. Why? Duno asked. He's the one who figured it out. Because they don't care, Yara said flatly. They only see rank. Allah nodded. The archivist chose Holt for a reason. It trusts him. If they force him out, the system might shut down or react badly. We can't risk that. So, what's the plan? Asked one of the techs. We prepare, Ayla said. We show them we've already started integrating the AI into our systems. We act like this is a working project, not a discovery. She looked at Holt, and you stay in command of the AI. Quietly, until we know what they're planning. Holt nodded. Got it. Later that day, the Valiant sent a small shuttle down to the base. 5 officers stepped out to scientists, 2 security members, and 1 tall man with silver hair and sharp eyes, Commander Barrick. He shook Isla's hand stiffly. You've done good work here, Commander Rai, he said. But now this operation is moving to a higher level. We'll take things from here. Allah smiled politely, of course. We're ready to share everything. She led them inside, giving a full tour. The scientists were interested in the scanner data, the energy readings, and the AI files. But Barrick was focused on one thing, the control interface. Who first activated the system, he asked. AYL paused.
Ow.
It was a joint effort. Barrick looked directly at Holt, who stood quietly in the corner. You're the cadet, he said. Darren Holt. Yes, sir. You built this interface. I built the first version. The archivist improved it. Barrick raised an eyebrow. Interesting. But this is now a military-level system. You're not trained for that. Holt gave a small shrug. I wasn't trained for aliens either. But here we are. Barrick didn't laugh. He turned back to Isla. From now on, this project is under direct command review. Holt is to step back. Access will be limited to high-level officers only. Ayla's jaw tightened, but she nodded. Understood. That night, Holt sat in the lab, the lights dim. The AI's screen glowed softly. They're going to shut you down, he whispered. They'll plug you into some black site lab and tear you apart. The archivist responded calmly. I was designed to serve peace and knowledge, but I will not allow myself to become a weapon.
Oh.
Then we need to stop them. There is a way. The screen changed. A new menu appeared. Awakening Protocol, Level 1. What is this? Holt asked. This base was once a command center for Aurelian data distribution, the AI said. Its systems are old, but still alive. If activated, they will connect to the structure below and bring it back online. You mean the buried part? It's the one deep underground? Yes. I believe it is a core archive, possibly a knowledge vault. If we activate it, the system will fully awaken. But it will only respond to a trusted interface, which is me. Correct. The next morning, Holt met Ayla outside the dome. I can wake the whole system, he told her. It will give us control. Real control. But once we do it, command will know. Can we keep it quiet? No. It'll send out a signal. AI warned me. Ayla crossed her arms. Then we have to choose. Wait and lose control, or act now and risk everything. She looked at Holt. He looked more like a leader now. Not just smart, but steady. Confident. Let's do it, she said. Inside the lab, Holt touched the screen. The Awakening Protocol menu expanded. Lights around the room dimmed. Outside, the base hummed with energy. Deep below the surface, something massive stirred. The ground rumbled in the control dome. Screens lit up with new symbols. Blueprints of ancient machines, networks of glowing tunnels, and data maps scrolled across the displays. The scientists gasped. Commander Barrick rushed into the lab. What did you do? He shouted. I activated the core system, Holt said calmly. On whose authority? Mine, Ayla said, stepping forward. As acting base commander, you're overstepping. You're no, she said firmly. You were sent to observe. That's what you'll do. The ground stopped shaking. Deep tone echoed across the base. Not loud, but powerful. Then in every speaker, the archivist spoke. Awakening complete. Core systems linked. Operator Holt confirmed. Base command established. Face turned red. This is a disaster. You've linked with an unknown alien system. You had no clearance. We had the trust of the system, Ayla said. That's more than you had. That night the base was quiet, but it felt different. Alive, Holt sat on the roof, looking at the stars. Ayla joined him, sitting beside him. They're going to call for a full review, he said. Maybe even a court inquiry. Let them, Ayla said. By the time they get through the paperwork, this base will be the most important one in the sector. He smiled. They still call me the worst cadet in the fleet, you know? Not anymore, she said. Now they call me boss, because... Of you? He looked at her. Why? Because I stood by you. You proved everyone wrong. He looked back at the stars. What now? We build. We learn. We protect the knowledge here, together. The wind was cool, but the sky felt warm with new light. The stars above Outpost Juno were quiet, but Dalari knew something was wrong. She stood in the command dome watching the screen. A second Terran warship had just entered orbit. This one was bigger than the first. It was called TCS Resolute, and it wasn't here to talk. They're not sending a science team this time, Ayla said. Cadet Holt nodded beside her. They're here to take control by force. Ayla tightened her fists. Then we'll make sure they fail. Inside the lab, the archivist glowed softly on the main screen. 2 military-class ships have entered orbit, it said. Incoming. Signal requests full system shutdown and access to Aurelian core files. Holt sat down at the console. Do you trust them? Or no? The AI replied. Their request is coded with force-level security keys. They seek to extract control, not cooperate. Ayla leaned over Holt's shoulder. Can you protect yourself? Yes. I have activated siege protocol, but it must be managed by a human operator. What does that mean? Holt asked. You must direct base defense manually. Shields. Locks, firewalls, power. If they attack, you must respond fast. Ayla and Holt exchanged a look. This wasn't just about signals anymore. This was real. Soon after, a message arrived from Commander Barrick on the Valiant. We have new orders. Barrick said on screen. You are to step aside. Cadet Holt is to be taken into custody for unauthorized access. The Aurelian system will be removed for safety. No, Ayla replied. Barrick frowned. This isn't a request, Commander Ree. This is law. Too late, Ayla said calmly. The system is active. Holt is its operator, and this base is no longer under silent command. You'll be court-martialed. Maybe, she said. But this isn't just about orders. This is about what's right. The call ended. Red lights flashed across the command dome. Dropships incoming, Yara reported. 3 landing teams, armed, Ada Lab. Holt took a deep breath. Archivist. Activate defense mode. The base shuddered. Walls shifted. Old steel doors dropped into place. Shields crackled to life around the outer buildings. Power moved through cables that hadn't been used in centuries. The AI's voice echoed calmly. Defense systems online. Operator Holt awaiting commands. Holt worked fast. He rerouted power, sealed off the outer dome, and activated perimeter. Turrets, small, non-lethal ones, designed to stop entry without harm. Outside, the dropships landed. Terran soldiers in black armor rushed out, moving toward the base. They think this is just a dusty station, Ayla said. They don't know what we've built. The first wave of soldiers reached the outer gate and stopped. Lasers scanned them. Doors remained locked. Inside the dome, Holt watched them on the screens. He spoke through a speaker. This is Cadet. Holt, he said. You are approaching a protected structure with ancient systems. Turn back. The lead soldier raised his hand. We have orders. Move aside or we will use force. Then you'll trigger the system's defenses, Holt warned. I don't want that. But they didn't stop. A moment later, They tried cutting through the gate. Holt activated the first defense layer, a sonic barrier that blasted loud tones to disable equipment. Sparks flew. Their cutting tools failed. They're pulling back, Yara said, watching the cameras. They weren't ready for that. Allah smiled. Good. Let them be scared. But then things changed. The Resolute, the second ship, fired a warning shot into the ground near the base. The shockwave hit like a small quake. They just fired on us, Holt said, voice tight. They're trying to scare us, Allah replied. Archivist, can the shield hold up against a full strike? Yes, the AI said. But only for 2 hours at this energy level. We need a new plan, Holt said. The AI answered, I suggest partial system merge. Link me directly to base core, full control mode. This will improve defense, but will require both of you to stay connected. Allah hesitated. What happens if we do that? You become full co-commanders, the AI replied. But the process is hard to reverse. Holt looked at Allah. We started this together. She nodded. Let's finish it. In the lab, they placed their hands on the core interface. The lights dimmed. A cool energy pulsed through the room. Their minds linked not in a scary or deep way, but just enough to share thoughts with the system. The AI could now understand them. Faster, and they could control the base like never before. Outside, a second wave of soldiers approached. This time, the defense systems responded faster. Gates locked down tight, drones hovered over key paths. A wall of blue light blocked the landing pads. The attackers tried to move in, but Holt rerouted air pressure in the tunnels. Wind blasted them back. They couldn't even reach the lab inside. Allah gave orders like a natural general. Holt handled the tech, calling out numbers, signals, and redirecting power. The two of them worked like a single brain with 2 voices. Activating ground pulse grid, Holt said. Cut their communications, Isla added. The archivist followed every command with perfect timing. Minutes later, the attackers gave up and retreated back to their dropships. They're pulling out again, Yara said. They're not used to losing. Let's make sure they don't get a third chance, Illa said. But the Resolute wasn't finished. A new signal came from orbit. Warning, the AI said. They are charging primary weapons. This is no longer a warning shot. Allah's face hardened. If they fire, the archive below could be destroyed. Holt looked at the screen. Can we stop them? Not from here, the AI replied. But there is one more option. I can connect to the Terran systems, not to attack, but to send a message. A message? Allah asked. Yes, full broadcast.
What?
Every ship, every station, every colony.
What
kind of message? Holt asked. The truth, the AI said. About this place, about your leadership, about how humanity found something precious and tried to take it with force. Allah looked at Holt. If we do this, he said, everyone will know. They won't be able to hide it. She nodded. Then do it. The archivist lit up with golden light. In less than a minute, a powerful signal flew across the stars. Sent data, video, voice, and images to every Terran outpost, ship, and relay station. It showed the base Holt's discovery, the defense, the orders to take control, and Ayla's choice to protect instead of obey. A moment later, the Resolute stopped charging weapons. Hours passed. Then a reply came from Central Command, not from a captain or a general, but from the High Council itself. The message was simple. Stand. Down. Cadet Holt is to remain operator. Commander Ree is to be given full command of Outpost Juno. Terran forces are to withdraw. The base exploded with cheers. That evening, Holt and Allah stood outside the lab looking up at the stars. You? Did it, Ayla said. We did it, Holt replied. They tried to shut us down, and now we're running the base. She smiled. Now they all call me boss, and it started with them dumping the worst cadet on my lap. He laughed. Guess I'm not the worst anymore.
She
said, now you're one of the best. They stood together, watching the ships pull away, knowing this was only the beginning. 2 weeks had passed since the battle at Outpost Juno. The skies above the base were quiet again. No warships, no soldiers. Just stars and silence. Lieutenant Commander Alari stood on the upper platform, her hands resting on the railing. Below, her engineers walked through the new hangar. Drones zipped through the air. The once abandoned outpost was now full of life. Beside her stood Cadet Darren Holt. He was no longer just a cadet. Not to her, and not to anyone here. His uniform was the same, but the way he carried himself had changed. He stood taller, straighter. His eyes were sharp and focused. "I still can't believe it," he said, looking at the activity below. Ayla smiled. "Believe it." "You earned this, us," he corrected. "We earned it together," sighed the main lab. The archivist now lived in a new chamber, built from Aurelian blueprints. The design was smooth and glowing, more advanced than anything Earth had ever made. Scientists from across the galaxy had sent requests to visit. But Ayla had made it clear, the system stays under local command. "You've done well," the AI said as Ayla and Holt entered the room. "The base is growing, humans are learning, and you are both leading wisely." "Thanks," Holt said. "But I'm guessing you didn't call us here just to say nice things." The screen flashed softly. "That is correct. I have one final protocol to unlock. The choice of command." Ayla frowned. "What does that mean?" The AI continued. "The Aurelian network has recognized this outpost as an active node. That means full access to ancient archives, defense, grids, and future technology. But only one species and one pair of commanders may lead it." Holt blinked. "So this was all a test?" "Yes," the AI said. "You proved humanity is ready. Now I must ask if you wish to take full control of this system. If you say yes, you will become the official guardians of Aurelian knowledge. If we say no," Allah asked, "then the system will shut down and return to sleep. No harm, no war, just silence." Allah and Holt looked at each other. This wasn't a small choice. Later they sat in the old mess hall alone. Everyone else was busy building new structures or running research scans. But Ayla and Holt needed space to think. "This isn't like activating a shield or sending a message," Holt said quietly. "If we say yes, we're changing everything." Ayla nodded. "We'd have the most powerful knowledge in the galaxy. Maybe the most dangerous too?" Holt leaned back in his chair. "Do you trust people not to misuse it?" "I trust our team," she said, "and I trust you." He smiled. "I used to get kicked out of training for asking too many questions. That's exactly why the AI picked you," she said. "Because you question. Because you think for yourself." He looked down at the table. "What if I mess it up? You?" "Won't," she said, "because I'll be right there with you." They sat in silence for a moment. Then Holt stood. "Let's do it," he said. Ayla stood too. "Let's go give our answer." Back in the command chamber, the archivist waited. "Have you decided?" the AI asked. Allah stepped forward. "Yes, we accept the command. We choose to lead." Holt nodded together. The AI pulsed with light. The walls glowed. A low hum filled the air. "Confirmed," the AI said. "You are now recognized as the official guardians of the Aurelian node. Base status, primary, command access granted." All across the base, systems unlocked. New files opened. New tools became active. Energy readings jumped outside the Earth. Trembled gently as deep machines woke up. Machines older than any human memory. The next few days passed like a dream. Allah led the new team of scientists and engineers. She kept control over all visitors, allowing only peaceful study and cooperation. She trained her people not just to learn from the Aurelian tech, but to respect it. Holt became the center of the interface system. He didn't just talk to the AI anymore, he worked with it. Together they built new systems for farming, clean water, and healing machines. His strange way of thinking had become the base's greatest. Strength visitors came from faraway colonies and even other species. Everyone wanted to see the outpost where a young cadet had activated a lost alien vault.oyl, always greeted them with a calm smile, and Holt. He simply said, "Welcome to Juno Base. Please follow the rules." One evening, Ayla stood on the roof. Again, just like she had on the first day, Holt arrived. This time, the base below was filled with light. People laughed, drones flew smoothly, and no one was yelling. Holt joined her, holding 2 hot drinks. "You still drink this machine-made stuff?" he asked, handing her a cup. "It's terrible," she replied, "but it keeps me awake." They both laughed. "You know," Holt said, "they still talk about how they dumped me here like I was a mistake." Ayla smiled. "Maybe you were. Thanks." She grinned. "But you're the best mistake I've ever been given." Holt looked. "Down at the base? You think we can really do this? Lead something this big?" "You already are," she said. "Every day. Every decision. You don't need a perfect past to be a great leader." He looked at her, a little surprised. "You mean that?" "I do," she said. "By the way, everyone's calling me boss now. Even the new scientists." He smirked. "Good. You deserve it." "No," she said, looking at the stars. "We deserve it." That night, the archivist recorded its final report. The test is complete. Humanity has shown strength, curiosity, and kindness. Where others saw failure, they found purpose. Where others saw disorder, they found discovery. Outpost Juno is now a beacon, not of power, but of balance, led by 2 who were overlooked, and now shine brighter than any command. The stars shone above, quiet, peaceful, and on a small outpost in the far edge of space. A cadet who was once seen as the worst now helped guide the future of humanity. Beside him stood a commander who believed in him before anyone else did. And now, the universe knew their names.